Hey everyone, this is WorldFilmGeek, and for my first Zoom interview, I interviewed Kate Watson, the star of the Lifetime thriller Killer Advice, which is now currently playing. Enjoy the interview.
Thanks.
So I watched Killer Advice actually this morning, and man, you were really good in it. It was a really good movie.
Thank you. I'm so happy to hear you say that. We've definitely got some questionable feedback, so I'm so happy to hear you say that. Thank you.
That's awesome. So, how did you get the role of Beth? What was it?
Um,
Inspiration.
yeah, so the director Jared Cohen and I have done several films together, and we had done a film the year prior, and really had a great time shooting it, and also some great feedback from Lifetime on the film. So they gave me a call about a week before they were ready to shoot Killer Advice, and I read the script and I thought, this is a character that I haven't played yet, and I think that the delicate subject matter of mental health is always appealing for an actor because you can really dive into those deeper parts of emotions that we don't always get to tap into on any script. And so that was the appeal. So I jumped in.
That's awesome. And Meredith Thomas was insane. Like she played
Mhm.
Marsha first as this, nice little person who seemed to care, but obviously is something under the surface. And I love the little scenes where they show her killing the therapist, and how she's, and what was it like working with her, because you guys had such great chemistry together.
Oh, good. Thank you. It was oh, we didn't have a lot of time. You shoot these films so quickly, so there wasn't a lot of time to develop any chemistry or to rehearse any of these scenes. So we really, I think, both being very trusting actors, just jumped in feet first and decided kind of who we were as characters and what we were gonna kind of come to each scene with, because every scene with Meredith as the film goes on is different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Our relationship evolves a little bit. So we kind of we're Beth and we're Marsha, but different versions of them as our relationship and our trust kind of becomes closer. So with the script and what we had, we kind of let that naturally and organically kind of flow and just trusted one another in the moment to kind of let that and all of those feelings underneath the surface kind of boil through a little bit.
Nice. And while Eric Roberts is in the film, you sadly did not get to share any screen time with him. But
Oh, I know. This is my
did you get
third.
to go on set? Did you get to go on the set with the scene while he was shooting? So,
No, because they were shooting at a different location on a separate day.
oh
But
man,
I've done several films with Eric, and I've done
oh
several
that's
scenes
good.
with Eric before, yeah, and
Oh,
other
that's
movies.
good then.
And so that has always been fun. And Eric's great. A lot of people will probably wish they had more of him in this movie. With someone like Eric who worked so much and is traveling so much,
Yeah.
it's a rarity that he's going to be on set for more than one day usually. So I think he fit the bill for what the character needed. And his character Trevor, he's the boss of my husband in the film.
Mhm.
He plays exactly what I think the film needs. A little bit of levity and a little bit of um this perspective that you need to know what the situation with Nick is. He's kind of in this position where he has to deliver as far as his job is concerned. So he's got his set of pressure at work and I've got my own set of pressure at work, and so it kind of aids in the storytelling of why the stakes are so high with Beth right now.
Yeah, and I like that. Even though he's like this big actor, he's willing to do this type of role and make the most of what he has to work with. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's great about, like, a lot of actors. Some actors who are doing that nowadays, but Eric's like one of the best guys to do that.
Yeah, I think if you can come in and you can be that presence, and play into that character in a way that's really memorable, I mean, that's a testament to your acting. But I think also a lot of this, I think people have to kind of sit back and look at storytelling and filmmaking as a whole, and all these little roles aid in supporting the narrative, right? And so they're all equally important to the story, and what he adds is certainly important as well.
Yeah. So, what was the hardest part about shooting? I know you had like limited time, but I noticed there was a lot of there's some physicality in the film too, and I'm guessing that must be the hard thing for you too.
Yeah, I think again, when you are under the gun, and a lot of people are not aware of this because it's hard to reckon, I think, how filmmaking, first of all, is kind of tackled, but the amount of time is always your biggest enemy on a set. And we were very limited with time in shooting this. So it was definitely a sprint from the beginning that we started to the very end, the last day. And you're right, some of these scenes were really physical, and I think that that was probably the most challenging thing, was to maintain, going from one scene that was maybe a different energy to jumping in right away. And again, a lot of these we're doing on one take, maybe.
Yeah.
And just really that very focused, committed part of me just had to go, okay, let it go. You dive in and you do it. And so we were all, I mean, everybody on set from the crew to the cast was extremely focused because we knew that we had to get it basically in one take.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest things for your character of Beth is you've already got, the beginning of the movie, you go through this trauma where you get carjacked, and then just when you start to come back a little bit, it just gets worse down. And that's I think it brought out the best of your emotional ability.
Oh, thank you.
I think it really.
Well, and that was the scary thing about reading the script. I thought, this isn't a character who just something happens to her now. She has to deal with it. She goes on a ride, and it is. Beth is not stupid. So for anybody who watches this film and thinks, "What an idiot," she fell for, what she's going through. I knew going into this that I had to surrender to the sense that when someone goes through trauma, and I think we all in some capacity have experienced a certain level of trauma in our lives. I think it's very human. You sometimes are so only equipped to deal with what you're dealing with at the present moment that you have to tune out to a lot of the things that you're experiencing in life in order to survive. Those survival instincts inside of you, they come into play, and you've got to learn how to cope. And so that can take away from the cognitive thinking that you might have outside of dealing with all of that coping. And so, yeah, Beth is starting to kind of inch ahead and get a little better, and then all of a sudden she's drop kicked again.
Oh, big time, especially when a certain tragic event happens. That's where she's at her lowest.
Yeah.
And it just breaks everything down. And what I found interesting was why Marsha did what she did. At first, I thought one thing, and then when everything's revealed, I'm just like, whoa, I was not expecting how that was coming out.
I would love to hear what you think about that, because that has been some of, I think, the feedback from people who have seen the movie. It's kind of like, what was the motive? What was the motive of the character?
Yeah, I gotta say, I thought there was like a connection between somehow, like a past connection, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's not, wow, like she's just crazy.
Right. Well, that's I think that it's also, I mean, not only is it a character study kind of on both ends between my character and her character, but we forget that there's such a motive called rage. We forget that, as human beings. We're so used to things being neatly packaged in like vindictiveness because something happened or whatever. But there are a lot of crimes, and I hate to say, they're called hate crimes, where people are vindictive or create crime out of their own personal rage towards themselves or somebody else.
And I like that, because it's totally different than what we're used to. We're used to seeing some sort of connection, and we're something with the past, and but this one's totally different. And I like that. I like something fresh brought into a movie, not the same old shtick here and there, because eventually it just gets tiring.
It does. And I think that it's almost too convenient with life sometimes. I think the first thing that I read, that I loved about reading this script was that it wasn't as convenient as a lot of other scripts for this genre might be. A lot of them kind of, again, neatly are packaged to make sense and tie up all the loose ends. And that's not life. Life is messy, and it's complicated, and it's unpredictable. And sometimes a lot of the things that we go through don't make sense, but we have to make sense of them and how to navigate those situations.
Yeah. And I also thought I was going to go somewhere else with Marsha. I thought she was going to seduce the husband for a bit there. Yeah. But eventually, like, oh, well, thank God I didn't go that route either. So that's what made it even more better. I thought for a while, I was like, all right, she's going to somehow seduce the husband, but it never happened. I'm like, I felt totally relieved, like it didn't happen. I was like, that would have just
not in that way. I mean, she was trying to be very manipulative, though. That's for sure.
Yes, that definitely is that manipulation, but it's not the way we, most people would have thought. And that's what I really liked about the film.
Right. Yeah.
So, and you said you've known Jared and you worked with him, so it must have been pretty good working with him on this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that any film that you undertake as an actor, the most important thing is seeing if you can have this really keen sense of trust with your director. Having that trust, especially with dealing such a subject matter like mental health, I think is
Yeah.
incredibly important. I didn't want to come into this project and take it lightly. Not that I take any film that I'm in
Yeah.
lightly, but I think as far as subject matter, I didn't want this to be, again, to fall in the trope of melodrama.
Right.
Many people might watch this and think it's, oh my God, it's so filled with all of this emotion and it's so much. But again, to me, that emulates real life. I think when you deal with something like trauma, there is a plethora of emotions from angst to sadness to anger that come out. And I needed to work with someone like Jared who could really, trust that I was going to allow my intuition to guide me with the character. And if he needed to kind of push or pull back at any point, he could do that with me. But especially shooting so quickly, there needs to be that innate sense of trust of one another.
Yeah, I think all together, this is a really good movie. And normally I think Lifetime movies, they play the same stuff, but this one takes a fresh approach, and I really think it was great. So finally, what's next for you? What can we
I
expect
appreciate
next?
that. Yeah. So right now, I mean, I'm very grateful to, Los Angeles has been kind of coming back slowly to work. And productions are picking up in other parts of the world too. So grateful for that. We're being incredibly safe and making sure that measures are followed, of
Yep.
course. But I have a couple projects coming out that are slated to come out that were supposed to come out last year. So keep an eye out for those. And then, of course, with quarantine, we had to keep ourselves busy. So I
Yeah.
funneled a lot of that creativity into my own writing. So right now, I'm working on my own limited series.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Killer Advice is I think it just got released on Lifetime on the 5th, right? So
Yes, on Friday.
well, if it pops up again, people need to check this one out. This is a fresh take on what you would expect for a thriller. And Kate, you are amazing in it, and I cannot wait to see more of you on the screen because you're great in this one.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much.
All right, well, you take care and you stay safe.
You too. Take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye-bye.
Bye.